So guys, I'm out here on the scooter, and just wanted to share with you what has transpired. I was able to straighten out all those parts on that torque converter and put it back together, and it works. I contacted the people I got it from, and I'm getting a new cover sent to me, and it's supposed to ship out today and be on its way. But what I have found is that my throttle setup, which I'll show you how I had it hooked up, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do to it. I'm going to change it around because I have found that the throttle itself is not closing all the way. That's why when it idles, the torque converter and that centrifugal clutch wanted to go. And let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to try to show you guys how I hooked up my throttle on this, and I'm just going to go through it. I don't know if you'll actually be able to see it or not, because what I did is I ran my cable right up to that angle iron that holds the bottom of the gas tank and made a fitment that drilled a hole through it, drilled a hole through a bolt so I could bolt it on there, ran my cable through that as a cable stop, and then the hinge point on the governor, I took that nut and bolt off and made a little tab with a hole in it and ran my cable to that. So what that does is when you twist the throttle, it pulls the whole mechanism, and that will actually override your governor whether or not you have cracked the engine and disabled it. So that's how I did that. Thought I'd give you guys a better look at how I got this set up, if I can do it without spilling it gas out of it all over. So I just welded a nut on the back side of this bracket, took the bolt to fit it and drilled a pilot hole through it for the cable, and then a little bit bigger one for the cable sheathing to fit in there. And then here's my governor linkage, and I just put this little tab on there. Well, what I'm doing today is I'm going to make this a little bit longer to where it comes out here to where I can get some actual leverage on it. I'm going to try that. Because right now, it's hard to pull just like that. But if it was this much longer, it would be easier. What's that old saying? Give me a bar long enough to get some leverage and a fulcrum in which to place it, and I can move the world. Well, leverage is key. So I'm going to try to make it longer and see what happens. Yeah, by the way, I did go in and disable took that governor gear out of this engine a long time ago. But I still hooked it up like that just to prevent that little arm in there from flapping around free. Now I can't do that because it's still, I didn't want to punch that thing out and put a set screw in it like you see some guys doing. I thought, you know, just ask him to break that case, and then what do you got? You got a mess. Yeah, I could have hooked that throttle up over here on the side like everybody else does. But the only problem with having it set up the way I do is it makes it a little bit harder to twist the throttle. Because there's not really any leverage there to speak of. But the reason I went up front here of the motor and went in like that is because, believe it or not, this cable is 10 feet long. That was the longest one I could find. It's 120 inches. It runs all the way down the forks assembly, down through the frame, underneath, comes out of the frame back here, which, believe it or not, that's like 4 feet right there. And then comes up there. And you got 4 and 4, and then you got another foot here and a foot there, and 10, you're out of running room. And yeah, I didn't want to have 2 cables hooked together in it. I just wanted one to do it. So that's what's up with that. Alright, there's the whole throttle assembly. I'm going to zoom down in it. You see, right here, there's actually a little black cap on these. And you pry that off, there's a plastic screw in there for your throttle stop, which screws into this support and moves your butterfly right here. Well, I don't know how well you can see that, but see, it's not closing all the way back. I can force it back, but it should do it by its own. And plus the throttle shouldn't be that hard to have to pull. It's annoyingly hard. So I'm going to do that and see what we come up with. Alright, so what I came up with is, I took that off, just trying to ease everything up so when I twist the throttle, it's not so hard to turn. And no matter what I did, I still could not get that throttle to go back fully closed. You can still see a gap in here, which was making it idle high. So, back out here a little bit. There is a connecting rod that goes from this arm up to your governor linkage. And this is actually it. And you can see it's deformed and whatnot. I believe I've had to mess with that before for some reason. And I came to the conclusion that if it was longer, it would let this shut. So I took this piece of steel wire. This is the kind of wire they use to wrap big cardboard and paper bundles in industry. And I secured a little piece of scrap of this that was scrapped from work. And I made myself a new linkage, except I measured from this bend in it right here to this bend in it right here, and made it just a little bit longer before I put my L bends in it, and replaced that right here. But with the throttle, anyway, it goes all the way closed. I'm still not completely happy with it because it's a bear to twist the throttle on it. It shouldn't be hard. It should be easy like butter. So I'm not done toying with it, but I have got it all put back together to where it'll actually start right now, I believe. And I took some plumbing, kind of pipe that goes underneath your sink, a hard. Oh, here it says, you may not be able to read this. Used with water in accessible locations only. And it's just like a PVC type kind of pipe. Anyway, I cut two little lengths of that and put on these bolts. So I could put the nuts on there to hold the carburetor in place while I've got the air filter off. So if I turn the gas on and choke it, it should start. Give it a minute for some gas to run down in there. Open the throttle. I'll hook the spark plug back up. Now I got to choke it a little bit because it's got too much air going in. So the real test will be when I get the actual filter back on it, but with it off I can get to this screw and adjust it. And you can get to that with the filter on there, but it's just a little more difficult. But you see my back tire is not taking off spinning, and it's actually idling a lot lower. So anyway, for right now, I'm good with that. I'm going to put the filter and stuff back on it and try it again, see how it responds. It's still kind of hard to twist that throttle, but it works. So what I've done is I made a longer bracket. It's quite a bit longer. Here's the original one. It's like maybe a little 1.5 inches, 2 inches, something like that. This is like 3 or 4 inches. I don't know. I didn't actually measure it. I just made it to where it sticked out past the end of the gas tank, because trying to put this little cable stop on up underneath the gas tank was a real bear by itself. And I took this the original one, and I'm just going to move it over here on the gas tank mount, and it'll stick out for a cable stop, for the sheathing stop. So I'm going to put that all together. We're going to test it. I had to change my strategy a little bit. The angle iron I was using was actually rubbing on the bottom of the tank. So I got just a piece of flat steel. And once I got my holes drilled, I took my grinder and narrowed it down as much as I could on top. So we're going to try that. There we go, look at that. Smooth, baby. I ended up using the longer arms like I said I was going to do. And I've got one soft spring over here to help pull this lever back, and I got another soft spring right here on the actual linkage that goes to the governor throttle or governor linkage, just to make sure that it pulls that back that away so that it'll close that throttle all the way. And it's the extra leverage which is contributed to the extra length on those things right there, the cable stop and the cable attachment. Really, I can't express to you enough how much better that is. I could never do that with my fingertips before. These plastic grips would literally hurt my hand. I had to grip them so hard and pull, and sometimes even with this part clamped down tight, it would spin on the handlebar. That's how tight it was. And now it's just... So yeah, way better. Alright. Of course, this extra wire here, it'll have that cover on there, and that'll tuck down in there, and it'll be fine. So I'm going to put the filters back on it and give her a test. Oh yeah. So, I'm very happy with that. Alright. Attention to that brake band attachment deal. And then of course, you know, I got to take the whole thing apart and put those other wheels on there, which means cutting the back end off and cutting the front end up, and it definitely needs it. I was toying with the idea of using those wheels and tires for something else, and I just can't justify it. That project can wait until I get another set of wheels and tires, but I got those for this, and I believe that's where they're gonna go. So yeah, these wheelbarrow tires, they don't hold tread. They're for pushing around in your grass, and I'm riding them out here on the asphalt and across these gravel roads and stuff, and it's just eating them up. You know, I had that scrub brake on there for a while. It took the rubber off of that back one. And anyway, yeah, so that's the plan. But it's gonna work out. Anyway, thank you for watching. Appreciate you guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.